Yo, what up, though? It's Aaron Duncan here with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk, and I'm here to talk about the Senior Bowl that's in the books. Draft season starts in Mobile, so it's that time of year. Got to start breaking down these prospects. It's been a fun and eventful week for the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, man, and I want to talk about who are the biggest winners from this week. Obviously, the game is kind of the culmination of what happens, but the practices is really where it goes down to the controlled environment. There's cameras everywhere. It's being broadcast on NFL Network. You got the one-on-ones for the offensive defensive line. You got the team periods as well. Just a real chance to get a close look at prospects and just let them shine. And I had some observations about this week, and I had some surprises as well, because there are guys that really made a statement here that has some things to prove, and they really kind of drew some eyes towards them. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first one is probably the most obvious one. He got the notoriety and the recognition from his peers that were at practice, and that's edge Darius Robinson out of the University of Missouri. This guy has great size, man, and after having a year where he had 8.5 sacks on the season, I think the question really for him was about pass rush repertoire and just what all he can do and what he had in his bag in terms of that, and he really didn't disappoint. I mean, this guy, he really took advantage of this week. This week, when the scouts are on you, this is the chance where I want to see guys experiment. Don't just play your normal position. Color outside the lines a little bit and prove that you can do certain things that may be questioned about you, and just really answer those questions. And honestly, you could check more boxes about things and give yourself a boost. He was looked at coming into this week, from what I understand, as a second-round pick potentially, but now some reports I've read is that buzz is building from him for round one. This guy really lined up across the board, inside, outside, 3 technique, the 5 technique. He lined out wide, coming off the edge as well. This dude really just challenged himself and pushed himself and showed that he can really rush from any places on any scenarios. In nickel, he'll be able to go on the edge, but he could probably make a living at that 3 tech as well, because he has that size to be able to move up and down that line of scrimmage. I mean, like I said, he really had that push, pull, snatch, and the hand swipe down pack in the one-on-ones, and he was really unblockable for a lot of guys, and his tenacity and his intensity really couldn't be matched. You know, sometimes you do have game speed, but you also have practice speed as well. This guy brought that game speed to these one-on-one drills, and nobody could really meet him on his level, and it really displayed in that he stuck out, that he was far and beyond the best defender, in my opinion, out of this week in the Senior Bowl. And it really makes sense exactly that he was given that practice player of the week. And like I said, that first round buzz seems to be well warranted. We'll see where he sneaks in at maybe as things go on, and obviously the combine and testing, there'll be more eyes that build there, but the buzz is buzzing for Darius Robinson. Next winner for the Senior Bowl has to be Hart, cornerback from Notre Dame. This guy measured in at closer to 6'3". I mean, I know it was 6'2" on paper for when I saw, but he measured in at 6'2" and 7/8. Very long arms, 200 pounds, kind of lanky and skinny, but he has that new build for some corners typically now with that size when you play that zone coverage and that cover 3. Obviously on tape from what I saw, he had some big games against Ohio State where he went against their gauntlet of wide receivers, but he is great in off coverage, and he has that quick trigger to break on it. He's good at turning and running and flipping those hips. This week, he really lined up in press coverage a lot. Wasn't as aggressive at the lines I want him to be for a guy with that length, but he still was able to mirror some receivers and be very physical in one-on-one coverage, and showed those ball skills and that length that he definitely has with that 6'3" frame. My biggest concern for him was just his lack of interest being in the running game. He has that size and stuff at 6'3", and if he's going to play in the type of zone defense, you're going to need to be able to tackle when guys catch passes at times and limit the yard after catch, but he really didn't show a ton of that on film. And during the game, he was very aggressive coming up in run support. It was almost to his detriment. He made a nice play in the backfield, not even on a corner blitz. He just came downhill on the 3rd down and 5, and he ended up getting a head injury, but he did show that he was willing to get involved. He even got ran over a couple times, but I like to see him actually wanting to stick his nose in there and being a little bit more aggressive, because that's something that he really didn't show interest in on film. He kind of was just that guy that set the outside contain, tried to force the stuff inside to his help, didn't really want to get involved there, but like I said, showing and mixing up during the game. I know he got the injury, but if you go out swinging and mixing it up and answering the questions that I wanted to see from you, I'm taking that. So Hart is a guy that's probably going to be, I'm thinking early day 3, and I think he really solidified that, as well as a potential 4th round pick. Depending on what the cornerback position looks like overall, he could sneak in the late day 2, who knows, but I love the measurables on him and the ability to play off coverage, but he showed that ability to be in that press coverage and bump and run this week as well during Mobile. The next winner for me was center Jackson Powers Johnson from the University of Oregon. And I know he's probably regarded as the best center in this class, but with Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia, who's kind of up there as well, not participating this week because of a recent injury, it was Jackson Powers Johnson's chance, or JPJ is what people call him now, chance to really, really shine. And he took advantage. Like I said, in these Senior Bowls and practices and all-star games, I want to see you do stuff that you don't normally do. Show your versatility to put off as many skills as possible to try to boost your stock. Not that he wasn't going to get his stock boosted anyways, probably going to be a mid-first rounder at worst, but he lined up at guard and as center, and he wasn't really the most technically sound guy, but you see the tenacity, you see that nastiness that you really want from a guy that's going to anchor the middle of your line, and he really just took on all challengers. Like I said, playing both positions, he showed a very, very strong base and anchor, and plenty of good reps at both the guard and the center position. Like I said, he'll be plug and play regardless of where he plays at in this league. But I think being able to show that guard versatility is really an easy way to help you get drafted even higher by a team who may have an aging center and they want to get you on the field sooner rather than later at guard, and then essentially move you over to center a little bit later. So the more position play you can play, the better, because versatility is everything. We know injuries happen to this offensive line, so you may have to shuffle guys around. So having that position flexibility is huge, and I think JPJ did a really good job of showing that. And I want to interrupt right here just for a couple honorable mentions. One is Jaquan Jackson, wide receiver from Tulane, the smaller guy. He's kin to Ed Reed, the Hall of Fame safety from the Baltimore Ravens. He had a great day and a great week pretty much in one-on-ones, just showing that speed. His speed was really overwhelming, working from that slot, a little bit of a miniature wide receiver, but this is a guy that's going to be a tough get. Great yards after the catch, very tough after the catch as well for a guy of his size, but definitely showed that ability to get on these deeper routes from the inside and just that slot, being able to be the dependable separator and be able to make plays across that middle for on crossing routes and just things that you want to see from a guy of his stature. My other one is obviously Ladd McConkey, who is a miniature slot as well. He was receiver from Georgia. Wanted to see some outside work from him as well to try to get some of that because of his questioning with speed and press coverage, but I thought he did a good job showing that he's one of those guys that we see every year. He's a technician, a route runner, a tough guy that's kind of, I hate to use the term scrappy, but not just the generic scrappy terms for the ordinary white receiver. This guy has all the tools in the tool belt. He has the release packages. He has the nuances at the top of his route to separate, and just really did a good job in the game, even though he didn't get the targets of getting open, but also in practice working there as well. And I'm really seeing the buzz on Ladd McConkey. I think he's really kind of pushed himself into that tier 2 of wide receivers. Obviously after the big 3 with Odunze, Harrison Jr., and Neighbors, but he's in that tier 2. It's not really clear cut who's who, and I think Ladd McConkey has kind of entered himself into that. So honorable mention for him. But also, if you're enjoying this content, man, I got plenty of other draft content coming with player profiles, mock drafts, and whatnot. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. I'm starting to do a little bit more of this draft content because the draft is year round and it's already started right now with Mobile. We're knee deep in it, man, and it's only going to get better from here as we get to close in on the combine. So make sure you are subscribed. That way you don't miss any of my draft content. The next winner that I have is going to stay in the trenches. That's Christian Hayes, the guard from the University of Connecticut. Now, Hayes wasn't super flashy this week in his one-on-ones, but he went about his business in a good way. He was as steady as they come. He really took on the bull rush, some of the speed guys. He really showed that he was pretty much consistent, and that's something that you need from your offensive lineman. He has some long arms, but I think his hands was really what was the asset for him this week in terms of when you shock those bull rushers, or you can get your hands on those speed rushers to really slow them down. And I think he was, like I said, those hands were so heavy and so tight that he frustrated some guys. He even got into a little squabble, you know what I'm saying, where a guy snatched his helmet and threw it. And you can hear him on the camera talking about if he's scared, go to church, because he really locked the guy up. And you can frustrate defensive linemen like that, get in their head. And once you do stuff like that, like I say, you're just as steady as they come and consistent, keeping your cool, but keeping your technique as well. In those scenarios, you're going to show me a lot. Not the first guy throwing the punch or throwing the helmet, the guy that caused that frustration. I like to see that type of dog and those type of dudes. And I think Christian Hayes really turned some heads with that play as well of when that happened, but just his play overall throughout the week. But one of the real winners, I thought, was from the quarterback position, and that's Spencer Rattler from the University of South Carolina. Now, obviously, there's some bigger name quarterbacks that were there with Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., but I think Spencer Rattler pretty much was the best quarterback from the start to the finish, from practices even through the game. You know, a lot of Bo Nix and Michael Penix were really struggling out there during practice, but Spencer Rattler was as steady as they come. Seeing him in person, you're gonna see him throw that ball. The dude can really spin it. He throws a very tight spiral. It really looks pretty when the ball comes off his hands. Obviously, he's about 6'1", and playing at South Carolina, he was constantly under pressure this year and running for his life pretty much. And I think a lot of the knock on him was the internal clock in his head. Sometimes he could stay in the pocket too long and not get out in time enough. But I think Spencer, during the game, he actually showed that he was getting through his progressions, getting to that check down to Amani Bailey, who had a huge game himself, but he was getting to that check down a lot. He had a pretty pass to end that game, in this drive with a touchdown pass, and it ended up earning the MVP of the game because of that, because he had that first quarter, didn't play much more than that, but you can see he was in total command, seemed pretty efficient, seemed comfortable in that pocket, got rid of the ball when he needed to. During the week, the ball placement was everything, and like I said, he was putting it in places where he needed to. He could show good touch, he was able to layer it, and like I said, those pretty tight spirals are very catchable passes for wide receivers. And so I think what he's done, I don't know where he's going to get drafted. I think he can maybe be QB, but 5, 6, maybe after the big names that are talking about getting that buzz from the first couple rounds. He could end up going somewhere, sitting on the bench, being groomed, but then end up coming up and having a great pro career just because he's going to have that time he needs to get better. But like I said, he has those tools. He has the ability to throw that arm, and I just really like what I saw from Spencer Rattler. I was really proud of him as a South Carolina fan. Now, this is coming from a guy that was really, really low on him based off the QB1 documentary from Netflix and just his days in Oklahoma and all that stuff. He ended up coming to my favorite team for college, so it ended up putting things in perspective. So I was really proud of him, and like I said, culminating the week with that MVP on that nice, beautiful touchdown throw was just the icing on the cake for him. And last but not least, I got to throw a wide receiver in here, and it was Roman Wilson from the University of Michigan. Now, Roman Wilson, we know he has the speed, but it was definitely on display in full force during one-on-ones. When you give a guy like him full field to work with, playing in the slot a lot of times as well with two-way goals, it's almost impossible. It's going to give the defense a headache, and that's exactly what went down this week. I mean, Michigan wide receivers don't really put up huge numbers because we know Jim Harbaugh's system is that run first, grind it out, play good defense. You know what I'm saying? Those ugly type of games, Michigan football stuff. So receivers, they have to take advantage of these type of opportunities. Like I said, Roman Wilson did what I said with these all-star games, showing what you have. Now, I think a lot of people after Nico Collins has really started to come on, have starting to open up to the fact that these receivers that play under Harbaugh just don't get opportunities. So you have to really take a closer look at them and see what they can do. And I think Wilson's speed, and it really helped him separate early in routes, but also late in routes when it comes to deep, to uncover when the ball was in the air. And it was, like I said, his speed was just overwhelming at times. And it's going to be hard for him to get out of day 2, in my opinion, because this receiver class is very deep. But once you get, like I said, out of that first and second tier, it's all about what's your flavor. And I think when you have a guy that has speed, that can separate, it's about 5'10", that can throw in that slot, he can take the top off, but I can stretch the field horizontally as well. I think Roman Wilson really, really made him some money this week in Mobile. I'm really excited to see how he tests in the combine, what the buzz starts to sound like for him as it starts to build up more. But he did leave a nice, lasting impression through the practices through the week. That's going to help him hopefully build some momentum going into this draft season as it kicks off now in Mobile. You guys let me know down below in the comments, who did I miss? Did I miss any winners? Do you disagree with any of my winners? Who was the losers in your opinion? I don't want to throw any shade on anybody being negative on this video, but let me know if you had anybody that lost, that who you thought probably should have did a little bit better, or really kind of let you down when you wanted to give them a second look, because I definitely know there was some. Like I said, I'm trying to keep it cute, keep it positive on this channel, but you guys let me know down below. Again, just hit that subscribe button for more draft content. I got plenty of things coming. We're going to have certain discussions about the draft buzz. We're going to have rankings coming soon, and very soon as I start to get through this film. Prospect profiles, a whole plethora of things that you guys may love. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching thus far. I'll see you next time. Peace.